in and around Inverclyde.
And right now here on Inverclyde Radio, I'm joined here in the studio by local singer Sheila Mackay-Jones. Hello there, how are you?
Hi there, David. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. So you're a local singer. Are you a songwriter? Do you write your own tracks?
Yes, I do write my own songs as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So how long have you been involved with music?
I've been involved with music all my life, really. It's just always been a big part of my life. My dad loved to sing, and he played guitar as well. And my mum was always listening to the radio, so I just grew up with music all the time. And I've just always loved this, I've loved singing, I've loved harmonising along with other people's music. That's just been something that's always been very special to me.
So what format is your music? What kind of music do you cover?
Well, I do some traditional music. And I write my own songs, and some of them have quite a traditional sound as well. And I also do some country music, but more sort of older country music. So, more like traditional country. Mm-hmm. And again, some of my own songs have that type of sound as well. It's generally folk, country.
Country music is quite big, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's doing quite well. I mean, we've got a country music programme here on Inverclyde Radio on a Monday night. Yeah. New country music, and that's really popular. Hillbilly Bob gets quite a lot of music promoters sending tracks. So, certainly pass your tracks on to Hillbilly Bob to play on his programme. So,
thank you.
How do you find the country music scene? Are you enjoying that?
Yeah. I'm more sort of the alternative country music, and one of the most respected other singer-songwriters that I listen to a lot is Kate Wolf, who I've recorded a few of her songs, and she was from the California area and very, very highly respected, but didn't live long enough for the world to know who she was. But all the big stars, Emmylou Harris, all sorts of people like that, have all recorded her songs, right. Because she's so highly respected.
Yep.
By them.
So you're songwriter. How long would it take you to write a specific song? I mean, how do you come up with the ideas for writing songs?
Well, I started off. I came home. I'd been through quite a lot, and I came back to live with my parents, and I started writing songs. And really, I think it was just my way of getting things off my chest. And I would wake up in the middle of the night with an idea for a song, and I'd have to get a bit of paper and write it down. And then I would lose the tune, you see, because I'd no way of writing that down. So I started then, I got a personal stereo that could record. And I started recording the tunes whenever they would come to me, as well. And so that's been going on since round about the year 2000. I was trying to write songs before that, on and off, but that's when I really started writing, more regularly. But I would say that the ideas, up until recently, the ideas have just been ideas that have come to me. Mm-hmm. I've not really gone looking for ideas. More recently, the double album that I've made with Anastasia Williams, that was a more sort of conscious effort at writing. And we were friends years and years ago and lost touch, and then discovered we were living a stone's throw from one another.
Oh, that's very handy.
Just in the last few months we discovered this, and I discovered she was writing poetry. And when I googled her name, up came a poem that I just thought, oh, that's just really, really beautiful. I'd love to try and set that to music. So the songs that I've written with Anastasia, she's written the words. I've kind of adapted them some in places where I've had to make them fit a song structure. But other than that, it's the music that I've written for those. And so that was a more conscious thing, and having to be more conscious of, these are 9 songs that are going to be on the one CD, so they have to all sound different, so having to consciously come up with different chord riffs on the guitar to make sure that these songs were not all going to sound the same as one another.
So do you play guitar?
I do play guitar, not terribly well. I usually prefer to get someone else to play the guitar for me.
So is that better to do at times?
If possible.
Yeah.
It's not always possible, but I think I'm getting a wee bit better.
So how do you match the music up with the words you write?
Well, it's more of a feeling. When you read the words, you kind of get a feeling for what sort of sound those words should have. A lot of Anastasia's songs, and certainly all 9 that are on that double album, are very sad. But although they're very sad, she always seems to manage to turn it around at the end to bring a sort of hopefulness, you know. So, and some of them you can imagine someone reading the words out, and so you know that certain parts need to have a bit of punch to them and need to have, need to go a bit quicker. So it's just things like that. But it's hard to explain, because when you read over the words and you read over them a few times, you do start to just get ideas for tunes coming into and rhythms coming into your head. It's not really. It's not something that, I don't think it's something you can learn as such. It's because it's very much from the heart, from the soul.
And you said Anastasia Williams writes poems.
Yes.
Yeah? How is that turning? Have you turned any of her poems into songs? Have you done that?
Yes.
Yeah. How is that? Is that difficult to do?
It was difficult to get into at first, but once I'd started, once I'd done one, it just seemed to get easier to get into it, and then I ended up that I was actually setting one to music every night, and so it went very quickly, and then we recorded them all very quickly as well, because we gave ourselves a deadline. And I think when you have a deadline, funnily enough, we were talking about that earlier in here, but when you have a deadline, it does focus you, it does make you make decisions more quickly about things, where you might be inclined to spend ages and ages trying to perfect something, but maybe perfection's not always what's needed. Maybe just a bit of honesty is what's needed.
Now we'll speak about your brand new album in just a minute, but first of all I'm just going to play a first track from the album, and we'll go for track number 3, and can you tell us anything about that particular track, which is Muddy Roads?
Muddy Roads is from the album that I've just made myself, which, well, not entirely myself, there's my husband plays guitar on 2 tracks on that album, and they're all songs that are by other people. Some of them are traditional and some of them are modern, but they're all songs that have been very special to me. Muddy Roads was written by Kate Wolfe, who I mentioned earlier, and it's interesting that I've ended up putting both of these albums out at the same time, because, as you know, the Footprints of Memories album is for Ardgowan Hospice and Inverclyde Women's Aid, and the other one, Unbroken Dreams, that this song comes from, Kate Wolfe, who wrote it, only had a few years in songwriting because she had leukemia. Right. So it's just the way it's worked out, but it is quite interesting that this album's coming out with 4 of her songs on it at the same time as the one for the hospice. Sure.
Did this track raise any money for charity?
This the album Unbroken Dreams is 50% for the heating fund at St Laurence's parish in Greenock, which I think just about anyone who's ever been there for any reason, whether a wedding, a funeral, or just their weekly mass, they know it's a very difficult place to heat.
Yeah. So did you help raise quite a lot of money for the church?
I had a launch night on the 7th of December, and at the moment the total raised so far from that is £483.
Oh, that's good, well done.
So yeah,
that'll help out quite a lot, and help heat the building for a wee while anyway.
It'll help a wee bit, this winter, so that's good.
Good stuff. Okay, well, I'll play this track now. It's Muddy Roads, okay, and then we'll speak a wee bit about the album next.